Ladies and gentlemen, Undisputed Nerds presents their podcast, starring the Gentlemanly Gamer and Zane Taicho. Say hello, Zane.
No,
Okay.
but I will tell you how I'm doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Undisputed Nerds, where we take a light-hearted look at all the comic book, movie, news, television, comics, games, everything that we feel like talking about in a particular week. As I said before, I am Zane Taicho. I am the Gentlemanly Gamer, and that is Zane Taicho over there. Zane, how are you, Squire?
I'm good. That felt like an identity crisis right there.
It really was.
Yeah.
There's who I am and who I want to be.
That would be one wacky episode of Doctor Who.
Oh my god! Can you imagine if we did? Oh, you should do that. We should do an episode like just a body swap, you and I. I mean, it'd be fantastic. I wouldn't be able to deal with that level of cool. I wouldn't be able to deal with it. I am like the epitome of white and nerdy. I wouldn't be able to deal with that level of cool that you've got there. It's not. I just wouldn't be able to.
It's the beard. It's a lot of maintenance and trimming and
the locks.
moisturizing.
Well. Don't ever forget your luxurious lion's mane.
The condition game always has to be on point. That's true.
Well, I'll tell you what. The last time I saw you, it was peak. You made an effort. You made an effort for that film. I will say that. But yeah, you doing all right? What's been going on?
Yeah, not too bad. I was in London earlier this week, which was fun. Yeah, I got to meet up with an old friend of mine who works for Lego, which was really cool. And he did give me a Lego gift, which is really fun.
For some reason, this says more about my mind than it does your body. But like that immediately made me feel dirty the way you said that.
Wow.
It was just, I don't know why. It's like the way you looked at me, it just went, "You did give me a Lego gift." What?
It was a key ring. That's all.
Oh, right, lovely, nice, yeah, good. Keep it clean. Honestly,
a
it's a family
little
show.
Mandalorian key ring.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
That's
I know,
I went into the Lego store when I was in London,
Mm.
and like, there was a queue like around the block to go in there, and B,
Wow.
like it was very impressive. There was some really cool stuff. Like they made a Aston Martin, a James Bond Aston Martin, like the old DB5, the classic. I think it's the DB5.
Yeah.
And they made it out of Lego, and you could like it was proper like full car. You could sit in it and everything. It was huge. It's amazing. Like it's just, I mean, Lego's so cool. And then the M&M store. Like, have you been to the M&M store in London?
I don't think I have.
It's very disappointing. I was very disappointed. Like you go in and there's like wall to wall M&Ms. Like one of the floors, there's 4 floors of it, by the way, 4 stories. It's like, all right, and you can get your picture put on M&Ms. Like you could get your picture customized on M&Ms. I'm like, why would you want that? You're just gonna eat your own face. But like, all that happens is just like you get wall to wall of M&Ms, and then kids just come in and just like open them, and then they just spill on the floor. So it's like you risk your own life walking in there. It's like being in Indiana Jones or something.
Have you seen how expensive it is to have an M&M that says like London or New York on it? They are like ridiculously pricey.
Again, why? Why would you want? Like, I don't get it. It's just like, I'll tell you what I'll do. What I'll do is I'll go to, when I'm in America, because I'm going to be in America in a couple of weeks' time. When I go there, I'm going to buy a bag of M&Ms from Target, and then I'll write New York on the front of the bag. Done. Save myself a lot of money doing that. It's authentic. They're from America. What do you want?
They're definitely going to sponsor this podcast soon if we keep mentioning M&Ms.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Zane, but my particular favorite M&Ms are the salted caramel variety.
Really I like the crispy ones.
Oh, the crispy. I mean, oh yeah. I'll tell you what. Honestly, when I was before I was on a diet. Because of my burgeoning diabetes, before I was on a diet, crispy M&Ms were a must for the cinema. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, you can enjoy crispy M&Ms. Sponsor us, M&Ms and Lego. We can make Lego dirty. We're going to get into the adult market of Lego.
No, we're not.
It's taken such a weird turn already. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
I'm sorry. It's Friday night. I'm hyped. What can I say? What can I say? You look so disgusted, Zane. For those of you who are listening to the podcast and not watching on YouTube, just go to YouTube just to see his face then, where he was just like, this is why I prefer Undisputed Anime. Oh, God. Zane, what are we going to talk about this week? Let's get us off this as quickly as possible.
This week, I believe we're going to talk about Phase 4 of the MCU and maybe a few predictions when it comes to Black Panther Forever.
Wakanda forever. Yes. This time next week, you and I will be sitting in a darkened room with the lights oh so down, and we'll be watching one of what I hope will be a thing of beauty. We'll be watching Wakanda Forever. And so we thought this week, rather than kind of we were thinking about doing a tier list, weren't we? We will do some more tier lists, but I thought this is the last film in Phase 4. Yeah. And so we thought it would be a good opportunity to kind of go through, have a look at what's happened in Phase 4, go over some of the things that we think that they're heading in, which direction they're heading in, because frankly, it's been a little bit all over the place. And then, yeah, as you said, give an idea of what might be coming in Wakanda Forever. But Zane, listen, we've already got the M&M sponsor in the bag. That's clear. But I'll tell you what, should we, at this point, hear from one of our regular sponsors?
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it. Zane, did you know that I love to surf?
No, I didn't.
I know, it's amazing. You'd never believe it looking at me, but I am an avid surfer. Not of the sea, though. Oh, no. I am a surfer of the World Wide Web, my friend. And let me tell you something. When I go surfing, I definitely need some protection. Not the usual kind of wetsuit, though. I need some VPN. Do you know what VPN means, Zane?
I don't. What's a VPN?
Well, it would be a virtual private network. And let me tell you, we here at Undisputed Nerds are being sponsored this week. And a big thank you to the episode sponsor, Surfshark VPN. You can get Surfshark VPN 83% off and free months free, Zane, if you go to surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds and enter in the promo code Undisputed Nerds. Surfshark VPN lets you trick your device into thinking it's in another country, which opens up a whole world of content library, Zane. So think about it this way. If you're in the UK, you can watch US Netflix, which has a far bigger selection of movies. You can get all of your Batfleck content that I know you love, Zane. I know you're looking for. If you're outside of the UK as well, you can watch amazing apps like BBC iPlayer. And if you're in the US, you can finally get access back to the old WWE Network with its far superior functionality. We've been using, me and Zane have been using Surfshark here at Undisputed Nerds for a while. It is our official VPN, and it doesn't just let us gain access to all the comic book movies, but it also secures our networks by encrypting internet traffic, keeping our location and download history private, thankfully, so that people can't see me purchasing wetsuits. My favorite feature on the Surfshark, it knows when my phone leaves a trusted connection, like my home or work internet, and it immediately turns on to prevent interference. It's like having, I don't know, Batfleck's Justice League for your phone, Zane.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I know you've got a lot of Batfleck on your phone right now. So sign up to Surfshark today by using our link in the video description below, surfshark.deals/Undisputed Nerds, where you'll get, again, 83% off and your first 3 months free if you use the code Undisputed Nerds. We really appreciate it if you just at least check them out, as they're a great company and we love working with them. Support Undisputed Nerds and support your internet privacy with Surfshark. There you go, guys. Go and buy some Surfshark VPN. So, Zane, obviously, we're going to be talking about Wakanda Forever. However, the first thing we need to do is our regularly recurring segment. I think you might know what that is by now.
I'm guessing it's going to be Batman No Scopes 360 or 360 No Scopes. No scopes 360.
I normally say 360 no scopes, but you can say
Yeah.
no scopes. Listen, all the words were in there. It doesn't matter what order they're in, as long as everyone identifies that it is the Batman 360 no scope. Zane, do you want to give us a little lead in, give us a little tease, give us a little, warm up for this? Because you've got to have your thinking brain on for this one this week. Just give us a little warm up. Come on, go for it.
Danny, play the song.
Danny, plug in the keyboard. Get going. Shut the door, quick! That's good. Thanks, Danny. Beautiful.
Calm
Thanks.
down, all right?
God, he always gets into it. Honestly, he'll be in there for 5 hours now, doing the whole medley of Batman and Spider-Man and the Hulk. Ang Lee's the Hulk. He's a wild man. You can't control him. So for those of you who are wondering what the hell we're talking about, Batman 360 No Scope is the game that we play every week, whereby I have created an audio clip for Zane to listen to, and he has to identify for me the movie, the year, and obviously, traditionally in the movies, who Batman's killing. I do like Zane's description of unliving. It's good. Who he's unliving. So yeah, play along at home, guys. It's a nice little fun family game of murder. So Zane, I'm going to be honest with you. This week's one might be a toughie for you.
Okay.
Last week's was very easy. We gave you a nice, easy, softball that you could just, knock out of the park, and he did, ladies and gentlemen. So this week we've upped the challenge. We've upped the challenge. So, do you want to give it a go, Zane?
Of course. Let's get into it. Ready?
Get into that bad boy. Go for it. That's it. That's your lot. It's a tricky one this week, guys. At home, are you playing along? We're looking for the film, the year, and who he's killing.
Is that like?
Yeah, he loves a bit of the old.
It's a bit of rocket. It's not.
Do you want to give it another listen, Zane? It's a shorter clip this week. It's only
It's
only 11 seconds, I think.
Let's go again. One more time.
All right, he's going for it, guys.
You see, because it ends with that sort of like bassy tone, I think this is a Nolan film.
All right. Okay. I'm not going to give you any hints. Come on. This is your game. Come on, you've got this.
I'm going to roll the dice, and I'm going to say, is this in the chase scene of Dark Knight Rises against the militia in the Bat Pod? Is it called the Bat Pod? The helicopter sort of. It doesn't have rockets. No, it doesn't have rockets. Is it a Batwing?
It is technically the Batwing. Yeah.
Batwing.
It's just the box wing, as they call it in the Dark Knight Rises. He's struggling with this one, guys. You can see it's a hard one this week. I wonder if you're struggling at home as well. If you're playing along, it is a bit of a toughie this week. I've made it a bit of a hard one for him.
You know what? I know what this is now. This is Justice League, Batfleck in the Batmobile. No,
I've broken him, guys. This is impressive. I like this one.
I think this is where he uses the cannon in the final act on his Batmobile before he sets off the sirens to attract all the demons.
Right. Is that your final answer?
This is going to be my final answer.
I'm afraid, Zane, you are incorrect. And you are going to kick yourself.
Am I?
You are absolutely going to kick yourself. You have identified the Batman. It was Batfleck.
Right.
So this is the scene in Batman vs. Superman from 2016 when he has just finished his brutal warehouse fight and he must save Martha. and he is
Oh.
she is being held hostage by a man with a flamethrower, and Batman, using his most traditional of all weapons, a machine gun, shoots the canister on the back of the man, exploding the flamethrower and just barely catching Martha before she gets engulfed in the flames.
Protects both of them with his cape, doesn't he?
He does. He protects both of them with his cape. That is the kill. It's very short because right before that, you hear Batfleck going, "I believe you," and I was like, I can't have that in there because he's going to get it instantly. And then there's a bit after it where he goes, "Your son sent me." Oh no, I'm a friend of your son. I was like, I can't have that in there either. So yes, bad luck, Zane. It was a toughie this week. It was a difficult one. Guys, did you get Batman versus Superman 2016 murdering the guy with the flamethrower with a gun? If you did, huge congratulations, because it was a big toughie this week. There will be more Batman 360 no scope next week because let's face it, we've got loads more murders to go through.
Only scratched the surface.
We've only scratched the surface of this. I haven't even included television in this either. So yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. Right, cool. So, all right, guys. So yeah, so Phase 4 has been it's been quite a journey, hasn't it, Zane? Let's be honest. It's often been complained about that it has no sense of real direction, and we haven't really understood what is going on. So let's have a quick look and see if we can discern any significant patterns out of Phase 4, and if we can see anything moving into Wakanda Forever and Phase 5. So Phase 4 started all the way back at the beginning of 2021 in January with WandaVision, which was the first property of Phase 4. Obviously, blending classic sitcom shows of the 60s and 70s, moving all the way through to modern day, with the revelation that she went full Scarlet Witch, and Agatha Harkness was behind it all along. We also had the return of White Vision, and the ramifications of her having children in that reality. Thoughts on WandaVision, how it was, and knock-on ramifications coming into possibly Phase 5 and beyond, now that we've had a Vision series announced, for example?
Very true. I think looking back, this was not only a launch pad for Phase 4, but a launch pad for the TV series that we've come to know and, dare I say, enjoy to an extent. Yes. I think this was a solid, starting point, because looking back, I feel like so much of Phase 4 has evolved around Wanda. Like, she seems to be the piece that kind of pops up the most, if you know what I mean.
To a point, I think. Yeah, I think she's a linchpin for several situations. I think we'll talk more about that when we get onto some of the films, obviously, for obvious reasons. I think WandaVision was a good concept show to show what Marvel could do with an idea. They kind of played around with the House of M storyline in the comics, and it was fun. It was a good series. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. I didn't like the Big Bang, like shooty red and purple stuff at each other at the end of the show. I didn't like that. The Vision fight, the two Visions fighting each other. Oh, by the way, full spoilers, guys, for Phase 4, in case you were wondering. The Vision fight was excellent, and I am genuinely very excited to see where they go with White Vision. I hope they bring him back, because I think Paul Bettany's Vision is one of the best characters that Marvel have produced. Okay, so moving on then to the next part of Phase 4, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which came out a couple of months after WandaVision, following the evolution of Falcon into Captain America, taking over the mantle from Steve Rogers after the US agent, unfortunately, did not live up to the hype, and he decided to just bring Bucky along for the ride, because why not? They also had Zemo in this, and we also had the revelation that Sharon Carter is the Shadow Broker. We also finally had the introduction of Madripoor in the MCU, famous for having one of Logan's favorite bars. Thoughts on Falcon and Winter Soldier? I'd just like to reiterate the point as well that you thought he wasn't going to have wings, and he did have wings, and I've never been more proud of that moment, and I still hold it to this day.
Look, that was like the dawning of the podcast.
It
needed
was!
a hook. It needed a hook to make sure people came back. So there you go.
It worked.
I again looking back, it had some great points. It really lacked on the villain side of things. I think with I can't remember what they're called now. The people with the nomads.
I want to say like the Watchdogs or something like that, or no, because I think the Watchdogs were in. I think they were in Agents of Shield actually, but yeah, like I know what you mean. That pseudo militia group
without a country, idealistic thing. Yeah, no flags, something. Anyways, it's weird. Again, there's so many good things I really liked about it. You know, the buddy cop sort of chemistry between Falcon and Bucky, and you know the Isaiah Bradley storyline was so well delivered.
Yes.
It's just so many other things that kind of let it down, which is possibly why I haven't gone back to it, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. It's weird. It's a very strange mix of a show. The reintroduction of Daniel Bruhl as Zemo was fantastic, and we got a proper Zemo as well, fully masked. That was awesome to see. I 100% agree with you. I think the villains were very weak in this one. I think that Wyatt Russell was really good as US agent. Flag Smasher, that was the bad guy in it, wasn't it?
Flag Smasher, yes.
Yeah. They were just they just weren't. It wasn't interesting, man. And like I didn't enjoy the meandering story about, you know, Sam's sister's boat. I don't care. The best episode of it was the last episode where he was suited up as Captain America and kicking ass as Captain America. That was excellent. That was really good.
Yeah.
As far as wider ramifications are concerned for Phase 5 and beyond, this one, it has the credit for the introduction of Julia Louis-Dreyfus as how do you say her name? Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Nice.
Who is the progenitor, the creator of the Thunderbolts. And she recruits US Agent at the end of the series. And obviously the knock-on ramifications from that as well of Captain America is now Sam Wilson. So not really massive impacting like ramification. Like we could kind of see where it was going. It was either going to be Sam or Bucky. Like it was going to be one of the two of them to be Captain America. The question was just who. And by the end of it, it was obviously, you know, I say it was obviously, he was in the suit, but it made sense for it to be Sam. So happy for that, and that's where it's moving forward. So after Falcon Winter Soldier, it's the big one. It's my favorite TV show to date, still to date. We got in just at the end of May, beginning of June, Loki season 1. Christ almighty, what do we say about Loki?
I'd say it's fantastic. Not only does it allow Tom Hiddleston to have like his stage show, because let's face it, like everything he's popped into, like movie wise and everything else, he's always been like he's always been a draw. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And this just really let him have the stage to himself. Even that one boring episode where he walks on a planet, it's still a good paced episode.
The thing is, you say that episode's boring. I still think that episode's brilliant because it's, you know, there's so much like character development of him in that, where there's the Asgardian songs that are being sung, and you know, he's talking about his upbringing and all that other kind of. It really humanizes Loki in an impressive way. That series is Loki is the true kickoff point for where we're at now. You know, the introduction of the TVA, this mega force that was in control of time. You know, it explained the reason why we haven't seen other dimensions before, why there wasn't multiple people running around, why we haven't seen people like Miles or Old Man Logan coming across. And it explained it in a really beautiful way, and it played around with the idea of like, oh yeah, well, you've seen the Infinity Gauntlet and what that can do. Yeah, those things are paperweights here. So you got nothing. You got absolutely nothing.
What I really liked about it as well, just to kind of touch on that, is every episode left you asking another question, similar to
Yes.
the Lost or Game of Thrones sort of formula.
Yes.
Like it may answer a question, but it still left you asking more than when you started, which is really
completely. Yeah, it was it Loki for me is the peak, because it's the perfect mix of like that character build with Loki and with Sylvie, putting emotional credence into their journey, but
good.
also the cosmic bombastic nature of stuff where you've got, the TVA, all their gadgets, all their stuff. You've got a big like monster at the end of time that consumes everything. You've got Richard E. Grant in the original Loki costume, and you've got an amazing scene where like Richard E. Grant, his illusion powers go OP and he's able to perfectly simulate all of Asgard. Like it's that kind of stuff where it's just like, and then the final beautiful moment of that where it is revealed who the next big bad in the MCU is going to be, and it is Kang. I mean, it's just so good. It's just so well done. If you guys have not seen, the only thing that I did not like in the series that I hope they expand out on in season 2 was Ravonna Renslayer.
Yes.
I felt like she wasn't great. She needs more development, I think, in season 2. Owen Wilson was amazing in this as well. Mobius, just again, as a piece of work and knock-on ramifications for moving forward. I mean, this is the kickoff point for what we're going to see. We can touch briefly on Quantumania as well, because obviously the trailer has been out for Quantumania, so we'll talk about that later. But Jonathan Majors as He Who Remains, who technically in the books isn't a Kang variant, but anyway, he's I guess he's more like a Mortis, isn't he, really? But it's just like his performance as He Who Remains. It takes over the whole show. Like, you talk about Tom Hiddleston having a magnetic presence.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, that Jonathan Majors, when he comes on screen, just immediately all eyes are on him, and it's just like, sorry, this guy's talking now. Like, I'm gonna listen to this guy because he's amazing.
You hang off every word because you go in with so many questions, and this is the last episode, and you expect them all to be answered, and they do get answered, but you're kind of like, I think I get it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's that kind of like,
and as you said, then it opens a whole other can of worms, because the end of this literally is the fracturing of the entire multiverse, and we get the opening of everything. So yes, guys, go and watch Loki. Please go and watch Loki if you have not watched it already, because you will probably need Loki for some context for what is to come. Okay, then we move on. The first movie post-pandemic for Marvel. It was still kind of in the midst of the pandemic. It was still on the cusp. Black Widow. It was a prequel of sorts to before Infinity War. So Natasha Romanoff was back. She had some business to take care of because there were some issues going on. But you know what? She did the Dom Toretto, and she called on the family. family. And we had the introduction of Yelena Belova, played by the lady whose name has now escaped me, which I will find.
Florence
Pugh. Thank you. Jesus Christ, my brain is a sieve, honestly. Yes, we had the introduction of Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, who I assume is effectively taking over as Black Widow now. We also had Red Guardian, David Harbour, finally making his MCU debut, and what a debut it was. My goodness me, he was fantastic. And then we also had Melina Voxkoff, I think her name was, or something like that, but it's Rachel Weisz, basically, playing the mum version. We also had Olga Olga Kurkurova, Kurilenko, something over. I can't remember what her name is either. But anyway, Taskmaster. She's introduced as Taskmaster. Spoiler, guys. The reason why I'm mentioning these people is that 3 of those people are going to be involved in. Well, actually, is I don't think Yelena Belova is confirmed for Thunderbolts, is she?
She is, yeah.
Oh, is she? Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, 3 of them are going to be in Thunderbolts. Thoughts on Black Widow? Thoughts on it as a? For me, it kind of felt as a standalone piece. I don't know about you.
Yeah, because the odd thing was this took place before the events of Infinity War. This movie is set in between Civil War.
Yeah, I was just confirming what you said before.
It's set. Sorry, yeah, after Civil War and before Infinity War, which is, I think, the first time Marvel have kind of like, well, besides Captain Marvel, I guess, have kind of like inserted a movie in a point. I have a really Marmite relationship with this movie because I really wanted to love it, and I was going in expecting a certain level of movie. I really like Taskmaster. I really like espionage. For me, I was kind of going in expecting sort of Metal Gear Solid sort of like vibes, but it just kind of fell apart in the end. Like that's what really kind of punches me in the gut. Is like I love the comedy, I love Red Guardian and everything else. It just feels like that last part of it just kind of went bleh. Like
yeah, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. I don't think the portrayal of Taskmaster was particularly great. I didn't like the idea that it's well, it is who it is. I'm sorry. I'm more of a purist with that, and I like the idea of this mercenary guy who has a perfect photographic memory for stealing powers and stuff. So the fact that it was like a more of a computer program that she had, and it was like all this, I didn't like that at all. I think this was more of a, let's be honest, this was more of a love letter for Scarlett Johansson. This was her main event payoff, which when you talk about wider ramifications, well, she sued Disney for it because of the box office returns and that side of things. Wider ramifications outside of the actual MCU itself. This was the first one that was offered on Disney Plus as a streaming option.
Yeah, wow.
Think back to then. So this was one of the main reasons why she sued, was that it was not a full theatrical release. It also had a streaming option at the same time when Disney were testing the waters with it. I did not like that. I do not like the idea of having a dual release on streaming and cinema. I think it should be released at the cinema and then come on to what they do now, basically, which is be released at the cinema and then have a knock-on effect later. But we could start to see the advent of Disney Plus, taking over basically and really having an impact on box office and that side of things. But it's a really nice little movie. It's a really nice little round off to Black Widow's story when you think about where she goes off to in Endgame.
Absolutely.
And obviously Florence Pugh is incredible. Absolutely incredible as Yelena Belova. Same as David Harbour. David Harbour is incredible as well. So if you want to see some absolutely top quality performances, in a nice little standalone movie. If you just want a movie that's not necessarily attached to the rest of the MCU, you don't have to have seen all the other ones to know what's going on. Give Black Widow a go. It's a fine film.
I know we're going to move on quickly, but just as a hot take, I still think David Harbour should be cast as the Thing.
Yes, I mean that's never going to happen now, unfortunately. But yes, I agree. That would have been fantastic. I'll tell you who he would have been really good at as Hellboy. Anyway, moving on.
Shots fired.
In August, we had the true fragmenting of the multiverse as we experienced What If. Multiple animated tales, Marvel's first foray into the animated world for the MCU, that is. We had several stories. I won't go into each one. Probably the overarching story of this was the creation of a multiversal Avengers to fight a infinity-powered Ultron. I did not like What If. I have a big problem with What If. I think that there were some
Mhm.
really great ideas in it,
Yep.
but some of the stories were very hit and miss.
Mhm.
Um, Having Ultron as the big ultimate bad was fantastic. He deserves to be up there. He is that level of threat. He should be
Mhm.
considered that level of threat. And the idea that him getting his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet could literally lead to the devastation of several realities was fantastic. And I was like,
It's
yes,
really cool.
this is great. I think they over imbued Killmonger a little bit in this because we had the Tony Stark led
Yep.
Killmonger, who's like this tech genius, which is fine, but the ending always rang a bit weird with me, where it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's having an infinite fight with Zola now, and then I guess the biggest kind of thing to get out of What If was the concept of an evil Doctor Strange,
Mm.
and Doctor Strange being twisted for the wrong reasons. What was your reaction to? I mean, when we think back, we did an episode each week review of What If,
We did.
and
Yeah.
it nearly killed me. And but what was your reaction to What If? How did you feel about it? Because I know obviously you're a big anime fan, you're a big animation
Mhm.
fan. Like, what? How did you feel it was for Marvel to go in this direction?
It was. You're right. It's definitely interesting considering DC. Just to compare, DC's had this long history of really great, well, a real mixed bag of good DC animated movies. They've all had a similar style, even reflective of some of their shows like Young Justice, which is absolutely fantastic. Um, this, as you say, was a real mixed bag of episodes. Some episodes were great, like the Doctor Strange one. Other episodes were really just
Party Thor.
yeah, I was just thinking of that one.
Yeah.
Just really worth a miss. So yeah,
My favorite one was the one where it's Hank Pym, Ant-Man gone
yeah.
crazy, and he's murdering the Avengers. That was that
Oh
was
wow,
that was my
yeah,
favorite one. That was really good because it's like it goes to show how deadly Ant-Man could be in the wrong hands.
yeah. The zombie one was well received, which I
I
thought was
hated it.
okay. I
I
didn't think it
hated
was
the
like
zombie one
anything
so
special.
much.
Mm.
I really despise the zombie one, but that's just from a personal take. I just thought it was really terrible character motivations and poorly written. That was just me. I think a lot of people just like the idea of seeing some of the Marvel, villains because the Marvel Zombies books are amazing.
I think that was the problem. I think some people were going in expecting Marvel zombies, which they didn't really deliver on.
Yeah.
But like you said, at the end, like with the Ultron stuff, attacking the Watcher and they were fighting through dimensions,
Yeah.
that was just amazing. And that kind of, and even sort of not so much cutscenes, but animation sequences like Doctor Strange absorbing all of Ultron's attack and then swallowing it
Oh, that was
was just like,
amazing. Yeah.
oh my God.
Absolutely, like the fight. We've got to the point with Marvel where it's like the fights. Like you think when I think of Marvel now, and in terms of my favorite fights in it, yeah,
Mm,
things like that are amazing. Like Thanos versus Doctor Strange on Titan,
yes.
unbelievable. I was swore unbelievable. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. I
Hmm.
want to see that level of fight. Like that's where we get into this now cosmic realm because we're gonna get to a point where there's gonna be Galactus on screen at some point, and he's
Hmm.
gonna have Silver Surfer with him, and my God, that better be a thing of majesty because like I need some big bad cosmic fighting. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm expecting huge things from Kang as well. I cannot wait to see some of the fight. Like Captain Marvel getting owned by Kang is going to be gorgeous. I cannot wait. But yeah, I guess wider ramifications for MCU from What If was we got the introduction of the multiverse and the
Yeah.
concepts, and it sets in place what some of the concepts were that we'll see kind of later on and talk about.
Captain Carter.
Exactly like Captain Carter,
Mm.
precisely. Moving back to the cinemas now, in September of the same year, 2021, we had the introduction of Shang-Chi, him
Yes.
of the Ten Rings, and and we finally had the introduction of the Mandarin as well as a
Hmm.
baddie. Thoughts on Shang-Chi, my friend?
Possibly the best thing out of this phase,
I I disagree with
cinema
that.
wise.
No, I disagree with that. But yes,
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm saying that. Yeah, carry on. Sorry, carry on. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that thought after we. Let's have a review at the end of it and see.
A great movie, great action. Really leaned into the cinema style of Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, House of Daggers. It really leaned into that style of cinema, which I thought was perfect, and just a great story of fathers, sons, duty, honor, and cosmic rings.
and some of the mystical side of a slight introduction of the mystical side of of the MCU.
No Fing Fang Fu though. No Fing Fang Fu.
No, but maybe his rings, maybe his big old rings. So you don't know yet. We still don't know. So I guess let's talk about that. So knock-on ramifications. Probably the biggest knock-on ramification of this was obviously that Ben Kingsley's back as Trevor Slattery. So that's the thread through all of the MCU. No, Wong appears in this. Wong is now seemingly taking on a bit of a what should we call it? Agent Coulson role.
Yeah.
I'm calling it now on the podcast. He's going to be a Skrull. I am calling it. Secret Invasion is coming, guys. I am predicting Wong is going to be a Skrull. So Wong is in this. Obviously, the Mandarin is no more for right now. The rings. Well, we get a post-credit sequence in this film where the rings have been activated and they are acting like a beacon, but we don't know for what, and they are not made of any known substance that Earth is aware of. So leaves us with more questions than answers. Also, obviously, we see we see Bruce Banner for the first time after that as well, where he's like in human form instead of in Hulk form. Which I don't. Is that ever explained? It's explained in She-Hulk, isn't it? Yeah. So anyway, and then there seems to be some kind of like peacekeeping force, kind of similar to what was set up at the end of Endgame, where we've got multiple heroes presented in a room, and Wong is consulting with them. Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme now as well, which is something else that we find out. Shang-Chi's a great little introduction movie. It makes me think back to some of the original origin stories of the MCU. One of the best fight sequences in San Francisco on the bus is fantastic, where he's saving people. Absolutely brilliant. And the reintroduction of Abomination as well. Abomination. Try saying that quick. Who's in that with having a fight with Wong. Just a great film. So ramifications from that is we still don't have the answers as to what's going on with the rings. Possibly something to do with the quantum realm, maybe signals going to the quantum realm. Who's to say? Who knows what's happening? Anyway,
this is the first time we get the idea of artifacts helping people become superheroes, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, unlocking their true potential. Yes. Speaking of artifacts, we then move on to Chloe Zhao's Eternals, that released in November. Jesus Christ, what do we say about Eternals? A group of robots,
alien robots,
created by gods to stop deviants who are an evil species, also created by those gods for some reason, and they're on Earth, and they've been on Earth for thousands of years, but they can't get involved with anything unless there's deviants involved. Can I swear?
If you want to.
It's horseshit, isn't it? This is the worst. This is the worst MCU movie. I hate this movie so much. It is absolutely awful. We get I don't even know where to begin. It's so long and so boring. It's 2.5, 3 hours long. God, talk about it, Zane, before I fall asleep.
It tries to tackle some really interesting topics, or tries to talk about the idea of gods amongst men, and all this other sort of ideas of humanity and why we could potentially be the special ones of the universe, and worth protecting and things of that nature. It's also about, is the duty the right thing to do, or is it to save the human race and such? It's it has a real muddled message. I don't think this is the worst one. I really enjoyed it, and like I have seen it more than once now.
What do you think is the worst one then?
Love and Thunder.
Oh wow, okay. Well, we'll come on to that in a bit anyway.
Yeah.
Just that for me, it's just that you look at the cast listings on this: Gemma
Mm.
Chan, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Barry Keoghan. God, I mean, Bill Skarsgård as Crow. What a waste that was.
Yeah,
Kit
it's a mess.
Harington as Dane Whitman, Salma Hayek as Ajax, Angelina Jolie as Thena. Like, I mean, Brian Tyree Henry as Fastos. Like,
Yes, yeah.
how wasted were most of these people? Like, and for almost 3 hours.
Which, I mean, for a lot of us going into this, we didn't think all of the cast would survive. Like, I'm still surprised now that Angelina Jolie is
He's alive.
in it.
I know.
Is
Yeah.
in it for the long run. Like,
Yeah,
she's happy to do another movie. But
it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård was wasted as Crow as well. They did nothing with him. Absolute waste. I guess knock-on ramifications from this. The Eternals, the Celestials are alive. They exist. They are actual, beings in the universe at the moment, which we all thought they were dead, which is why the Infinity Stones were just scattered around, but I guess not. Pip the Troll and whatever Harry Styles is. What's his name? Euros are introduced. Star Fox, thank you. Yeah, Euros are introduced at the end of this, but we've not had anything since, so God knows what's going to happen with them. Probably the biggest thing is Dane Whitman is going to become the Black Knight, and we have the
Blade.
Yes, not introduced, but heard voice of Blade. Who played by Mahershala Ali. I'm looking forward to Blade. I look forward to seeing more Kit Harington. That's all I've got to say, really.
The other thing, just to mention as well, is I think it mentions the cosmic. Is it skirmishes?
Yeah.
The term, which is, I know, is a Hickman term that's used in Secret Wars. Which comes up
Secret
later
Wars,
on.
you say?
But one last thing to mention from this movie is the celestial that's embedded in the earth.
Oh God, yeah. Sorry, you're right. That is a knock-on ramification. There's now a big head and hands sticking out the Atlantic Ocean that nobody seems to have noticed.
There was an interview a couple of days ago with Ryan Coogler, the director.
Yeah, okay.
Director of Black Panther, and he thought if Endgame, when they talk about the earthquakes in the ocean, he thought that was a setup for Eternals.
Really?
Because of the celestial. Because everyone keeps asking.
I guess that would make sense, actually. Yeah.
Everyone keeps asking, is that how Namor was in? And he's like, no, I thought that was to do with the Eternals.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I like that explanation better because, yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll find out, won't we, with Black Panther. Anyway, we'll get onto that in just a sec. So next after Eternals, things that we're looking up, we had Hawkeye. It's a standalone miniseries, 6 episodes. Jeremy Renner returned as Clint Barton, dealing with a post-traumatic stress of Endgame. We also had the introduction of Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld. Lovely Haley Steinfeld. And Yelena Belova returns. One of the biggest things to come out of this, though, was he's back, baby. Vincent D'Onofrio is Wilson Fisk / the Kingpin again. And he's brought his Hawaiian shirts with him this time. I loved Hawkeye. I'll talk about it just for a little bit. Hawkeye was just a standalone little piece of work. It really dealt with the idea that, because Clint Barton's partially deaf now because of the events of Endgame. He can't hear well. And it dealt with this weird culture of superheroes being idolized, but in a weird way. You know, we have Rogers, the stage play, telling the story of the Avengers,
The
which is
musical.
the musical, exactly, which is not how it happened. We also have a beautiful bit of tie-in with the first Avengers movie, where we find out that Kate Bishop was one of the people who was affected by the Chitauri invasion, and actually witnesses Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye diving off the roof of a building, and it inspires her to become an archer and all this other kind of jazz. D'Onofrio being Kingpin again is fantastic. Everyone wanted this to happen. Everyone is happy it's happening. We'll come on to the next bit as well when we talk about his antagonist. And yeah, it's just a great series. Knock-on effects, obviously, of Yelena Belova getting involved with the Thunderbolts, because she's recruited by Van, or whatever her name is at the end. I'm not saying it again. I can't say it again. I got it
That's
right
fine.
once. That's it. And yeah, just a really, really, really fun little series.
I love this. It, you know, there was so many sort of things it tied up. The Ronin storyline, introduced Echo, like you said.
I forgot about Echo. Yeah.
The Kingpin teasers throughout. I mean, some people have been really critical, have kind of been really harsh on it, saying like this show did a lot to kind of just tease a big cameo at the end. And I guess Phase 4 has had a lot of that. It's been a lot of cameo fest throughout, but I think this did the best in its delivery of it. Like it teased it from the get-go. And I love Hawkeye, so for me, I thought like it was a great journey, and the Christmas element of it was really fun as well.
Yeah, the Christmas, that was awesome. Yeah,
I'll be home for Christmas. Yeah,
I disagree with the idea that it was all leading up to one big cameo. I see this much more of this was a passing of the torch of the Hawkeye mantle from from Clint Barton to Kate Bishop. That's what I see it as. Also, it was the proper Yelena Belova fitting into this world and showing that she can just as easily go as Natasha Romanoff did against Clint. And it was lovely, and I thought it was great.
It felt like the last ride for Hawkeye.
Jeremy Renner. I think we might see Jeremy Renner here and there possibly, but I don't think we'll see him fully. I think we might see him in an ensemble piece, but I think his time is up. He is done. We move on to the big one then. After that one, Zane. So in December, it finally happened. We finally had all 3 Spider-Men on screen at the same time in Spider-Man No Way Home, where reality was fractured, the multiverse cracked. We had the semi-introduction of the Sinister Six, even though there was only 5 of them. And the barriers between worlds broke down, and we got all 3 Spider-Men together. Thoughts on Spider-Man No Way Home, Zane?
It's a tough one, because on the one hand, it's a fun movie, a great movie for fans of previous Spider-Man movies, of Marvel, of the franchise and everything else. But on the other hand, it's not a great movie.
I mean, I've watched it back a couple of times. It's still really good. Like, it is still really good. I think you're right. It for me, the problem is at the bit in the middle. It loses its way a little bit in the middle. That's the issue. I think the beginning, where Peter is identified as Spider-Man and his identity's out there and it's a nightmare for him, that bit's all really good. And all the bit with MIT and stuff like that is all really good. And the interactions between Doctor Strange and him are really good and really fun. And then it kind of gets a bit like, well, why is he doing this? I get that he's a moral guy, but like, they don't belong here. And it's not something that Spider-Man would really. He wouldn't necessarily question Doctor Strange in the books, and it's weird. And also, it kind of makes Doctor Strange feel a little bit incompetent that he couldn't do it himself. So there's that. But then after Aunt May, spoilers. After Aunt May dies, then it gets really good again, like really, really good, right to the end. I do know what you mean. There's a lot of nostalgia on it, and it's probably not as good as Far From Home, honestly.
Yeah, and I think
I
at
think
this
Far
point,
From Home for me is his coup de grace. Like that is the best
Tom
thing.
Holland.
Yeah, Tom Holland. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Hang on. I'm on. So okay. So I've got the official list of this from the Marvel Cinematic Universe wiki, right? Of all Phase 4. Yes, that's right. Because Far From Home was the last film of Phase 3, wasn't it? Technically, because it talked about Tony Stark dying. Yes, I remember now. Sorry, guys. I just had a minor panic that we've missed out Far From Home from Phase 4, but it's like no, it's not Phase 4. It's Phase 3. Okay, that's fine. Carry on. Sorry, Zane. My apologies.
That's okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing, isn't it? When you look back at the trilogy of Tom Holland's trilogy as a whole, it's kind of like this is a real weird ride because instead of it kind of peaking in the second movie and him coming out the other end as a more mature Spider-Man and stuff, it feels like his Spider-Man journey is truly beginning at the end of this one. We've had this weird wishy-washy Spider-Man for the last 3 movies, and now he's in the real blue suit and stuff. Like
he's now the Spider-Man that he is in the books. Yeah, like this is proper Peter Parker now. Like this is him. Although he doesn't have Aunt May, which is weird. It's a weird situation to be in. But
yeah, at least he's not like a sort of weird Tony Stark fanboy now.
Well, again, it is interesting to see. Bearing in mind that we've seen Maguire and Garfield, and then it's like, well, what would have happened if there was Tony Stark tech in that world? Well, it would look, it would probably a lot of the threats that they had wouldn't be threats. It would look like a very different world. So, yeah, it's interesting. As far as I see what you mean now, because I'm thinking about this knock-on ramifications. Well, nobody knows who Spider-Man is anymore.
Yep,
but that's about
a good
it.
thing.
I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also I can't. Can you think of anything else? Because I can't think of anything else that knocks on from that film.
Well, again,
he's out on his own.
Yeah, it resets, and I guess it kind of resets things for the Sony universe.
Oh, there's a symbiote. There's a symbiote in the MCU now. We know that confirmed. There's a little blob of symbiote at the end. So, I guess there you go.
Yeah, this I guess the real ramifications is where does this lead the Sony-verse going forward?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, and the answer is nobody cares. So moving on. This is the next rival for my favorite TV show, Moon Knight. Came out in March. It's the story of Mark Spector and his identity disorder, and him being the avatar of Khonshu, the mystic god from ancient Egypt. What a series this was! What an absolutely amazing series. Oscar Isaac is incredible. It's just so good. What's her name? Scarlet Scarab. I can't remember what the actual character's name is, but she gets introduced in it as well. She's amazing. This one is interesting for me because it's so contained.
Yes.
This one does not feel attached to the MCU at all. Like at all. It's almost like it doesn't exist in that world. Thoughts on this one, Zane? What did you think of Moon Knight? I know you enjoyed it.
Yeah, really fun. Great little TV show. Acting was fantastic. The only 2 gripes I had with this, I really like Khonshu. I think the Khonshu stuff was amazing. The 2 gripes I had, one, I would have liked to see more of the idea of the Egyptian gods and the spaceship element of it, because the whole idea is that towards the end when they're in that temple, that's actually like a spaceship that the gods travel in. I kind of like to see more of that cosmic side of it, and just some more Moon Knight. I know they CGI'd his costume and stuff, but it would have been nice to see more
Yeah. I
Moon
mean,
Knight fights.
I think we will. I think we will at some
Yeah.
point. It was an origin story, wasn't it? Just done out in a TV series instead of a movie. Yeah, interesting you say that about the spaceship. Apocalypse in the X-Men. That's how he
Mhm.
gets his mechanical armor and stuff.
Mm.
Maybe. Who's to say? Yeah. As far as knock-on ramifications for the MCU is concerned, there aren't really many because it was such a standalone thing, other than the idea that Moon Knight as a concept is now in there, and Mark Spector has got to deal with more than just a couple of personalities now.
I think this kind of opened the door to more mystic stuff besides
Yes.
Doctor Strange, right? Because now we're talking a lot more about gods and
Yes,
vengeful spirits and stuff.
yeah, I agree. Speaking of,
sorry, one other thing this really did was the concept of death. How death is perceived differently compared to, say, Wakanda, where they normally see the planes. This is, again, just a slight different thing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's great though. Go and watch it. So following on from that, the next movie was May 6th, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Boy, where do we begin with this one? So linking back to WandaVision, I think this is why it feels like Wanda's been central to the MCU Phase 4. Wanda has now introduced the concept of a hero going bad. We have not seen that in the MCU up until this point, as far as I am aware. Please correct me if I am wrong, but I cannot think of another example of somebody who was a good guy, a bona fide good guy who goes bad. We get the entire idea and exploratory nature of the multiverse, which was kind of explored in What If, but we see more dramatic live action stuff in this one. We get a lot of cameos in this, a lot of cameos. I as much as I enjoyed seeing John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, I don't believe he'll be back. I think that was a one-off thing now. Same with Charles Xavier. I don't think we'll see Patrick Stewart as Professor X again, but it was nice to have him introduced, especially in the old yellow chair. Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel was good. Captain Carter. Yeah, that was good. Probably the biggest thing of this is we had the introduction of America Chavez, the Nexus being who can traverse across multiverse. She was really good. Good. Miss Gomez was excellent. And more of the exploration of Doctor Strange as this kind of good guy, but like happenstance good guy sometimes. It's a weird kind of thing. He's like obviously super powerful, but kind of a jerk with it. A little, like, I guess he's kind of being established as like the Tony Stark, but mystic Tony Stark, isn't he, really?
Yeah. The movie does this brilliant thing of saying that he has to be the one holding the knife. He has to be the one in control and calling the shots, which in so many ways asks that question, which is I really thought was great. I really like this movie. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, it's campy. Yes, it's full of cameos.
I like this movie a lot as well. I think it's great.
I think it's amazing. I thought this was spectacular. And I guess as a hero, what sets him apart is that he isn't scared to get his hands dirty and, step that line where he has to use the I can't remember the name of the book now. Darkhold, thank you, yes. And, break every rule to save the world, because that's
get his third eye. Yeah, I guess, I mean, as far as like ramifications and knock-on effects, so Scarlet Witch is presumed dead at this moment, but I assume she'll be back at some point. Claire, Doctor Strange's long time partner, is introduced at the end of this, played by Charlize Theron. That was a hell of a surprise. It's great casting, though. I think she's going to be awesome. And old Doctor Strange gets his old weird wonky third eye now, which is weird. And they're going to go and battle the Dark Dimension. So presumably we'll see some kind of interaction between Doctor Strange and, you know, maybe some of the mystic characters, Man Thing potentially after the introduction in Werewolf by Night. You know, obviously there's Blade, there's all these other kind of mystical characters that are coming into it. So yeah, interesting place and where we're going. And obviously Monica, America Chavez being out there as the Nexus being, that in itself is a you know, that will come back. I would not be surprised if we see Kang utilizing her powers at some point. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, I guess this also means as well that Wong is the defender of Earth going forward. We know he's the Sorcerer Supreme by title, but now Stephen is off-world, like you say, in the Dark Dimension. It leaves the world hangs
in balance. No, it leaves him in the hands of Wong. I got you.
Wong's hands. Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
I know what you mean. It's all good. Right. So we've only got a couple more left to talk about in Phase 4, and then we'll get on to some mini predictions for Black Panther. The next show, Ms. Marvel. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was fantastic. Kamala Khan becomes aware of her powers after wearing a mystical bracelet that was sent to her by one of her relatives from Pakistan. God, it's a great series. It's really fun. This
Really
series, Iman Vellani is the most perfect casting for Kamala Khan I've seen. She is amazing, absolutely amazing in this show, and genuinely really carries it the whole way through and kept it super enjoyable and super fun. It gave me a lot of like feels of like Spider-Man Homecoming, like when I first saw Spider-Man Homecoming, like that kind of like like adventure and like, oh wow, this is all amazing. It just felt really good. Unsung hero in this is Matt Lintz as Bruno. Bruno's is great. Still baffles me that Matt Lintz was almost Spider-Man.
I know,
it still makes me crazy. The only thing about this one was that the villains weren't the best in this.
No.
The bad guys were a bit weak, and I can't remember what their names are. The Onis,
the
Jins. That's it. Again, more multiversal stuff. I assume they came across from some kind of dark dimension, and you know, to cut a long story short with this one, I don't know if you've got any opinions on this one, Zane, but it's well worth watching. There were some pretty big ramifications to come out the back of this series as well, which I don't know whether you want to talk about and give us what you thought about this series.
Yeah, overall, great fun. It's fantastic for a wider audience. Again, for those who may dabble into the Marvel movies every now and again, similar to WandaVision. I think that's a great show for people who dabble with the franchise. This was like an amazing teen sort of coming of age movie. A lot of it kind of reminded me of, is it Noah and something? Make a Playlist, like that teen rom-com, Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh yeah,
it has that same sort of vibe, energy about it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. In terms of ramifications, we get to see the evolution of her powers, which was really cool. I know going into this, a lot of people were skeptical, and you know, there's a lot of criticisms about the way the powers were CGI'd. But yeah, the biggest reveal at the end of this, I was not expecting. Neither.
No, I wasn't either. Well, yeah, I mean, you go for it. If you've let us in, go for it.
Yeah, the reveal of the X gene and mutants. They said the word mutants.
Yeah, she is not an Inhuman as she is in the books. She is a mutant in the story. It's interesting because they've kind of modified it. That you can tell that they are trying to modify and merge kind of certain characters because her whole power set in this. I mean, in the books, she's stretchy, Mr. Fantastic powers. That's what she does. But in this, her powers felt a lot more like the mutant armor, where she kind of has this like bio shell that she can kind of create around herself and expand and use it for those kind of things. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. They did it really well. It's great. And yeah, mutants are officially in the MCU 100% now. Right. So, wow, I think you're going to have a lot to say about this next one. So, There's only 2 left, and on July 8th, we had the long-anticipated sequel to Thor Ragnarok, Thor: Love and Thunder, where Jane Foster is returning as Lady Thor, which was a big hype moment. We have Thor trying to discover himself, and Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher is on a rampage. So, I'm not going to comment on this one. Zane, go for it.
This was just an absolute waste of time. Like, this was just terrible movie. The whole movie feels like it's just a skit show, like skit after skit after skit, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's just a money grabbing thing for Taika to fund his other projects that he wants to do. I don't know if it's just, and the worst part of it is that it set us up thinking like, oh my god, A, this is going to be Ragnarok 2, and B, look at it, it looks like the pages from Thor the God Butcher and, you know, Odin's son's journey and stuff, and it just fell apart because
You're right.
why was Heimdall's son just a floating head in this movie at one point? Why? We're stuck in a shadow world. Help us, Thor. Christian Bale gives the performance of his life in black and white.
Let's break some of that down. Good parts. Christian Bale is phenomenal as Gore the God Butcher. Absolutely fantastic casting. Absolutely played beautifully. Absolutely terrifying as well. Genuinely terrifying. His use of the Necro sword, fantastic. They did a proper introduction. Like, it was like, it's proper Necro sword as well. I still believe it's a symbiote. I still think it's tied into Null, and I still think they are looking to explore that one day. That was all fantastic. All really good. I thought Jane Foster, the story with Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, was also excellent.
Yeah, really good.
I thought she did a great job with what she was given. I thought that her final death sequence at the end was beautiful, and just really, really well done. Right, okay, so that's enough nice things about this. Pointless having him with the Guardians at the beginning. Absolutely pointless. Just didn't lead to anything. Just felt like it was just thrown in there as, like you said, a cameo. Tessa Thompson, King Valkyrie, felt weird in this. Like, she just didn't feel right. It was like she was just thrown in there again for no reason. My biggest issue with this, and my biggest issue moving forward with the MCU, is that they have made Thor an absolute idiot. He's really, really stupid now, and not like stupid in like a naive kind of like, I'll always do the right. No, he's just a moron. Like, he's just really thick. It's like, you've been on Earth, you've experienced Earth situations, you know stuff about the planet. You were sent there by your dad to learn, and you did. And it's like, all the character development of Thor the Dark World, Avengers 1, 2, 3 are just gone, you know? And it's like, I get that Ragnarok was really good, right? Because it did something different with cosmic realms. But like, that it wasn't good because Thor was stupid. And he's just really stupid in this. And I don't like it. I really don't like it. They really need to course correct Thor, because you know, he's the Odin's son. He is the man. Like, he is the ruler of Asgard, like, rightful ruler of Asgard. He's a worthy ruler. And again, similar with like Doctor Strange being stupid in certain scenarios, they shouldn't be morons. Like, they really shouldn't.
No, this movie just does a lot of terrible things. Like, we had the introduction of eternity in this movie as well. And it looked good, but it's as a wishing machine.
The throwaway wishing machine.
oh god, yeah. There's just so many things that kind of just do you dirty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get off it quick because we could keep going for ages. But knock-on
Mm,
ramifications of this is Hercules is introduced in the post-credit sequence. So we get
yeah.
Hercules, who is a proper hero, member of the Asgardians, member of the Avengers. At one
Hmm.
point, in the books, is ripped in half by the Sentry. Go and look it up, guys. It's horrible. And then we also get Idris Elba comes back at the end of this as well, because
Yeah.
Jane goes to Valhalla.
Hmm.
Which is a weird situation. I wonder if they're going to do more with that. Honestly, I think they might well do more with that, but we shall see.
Hmm.
Not much else to report after that. That is literally where it is, and Thor, he doesn't have Mjolnir back.
He has a daughter.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Moving on. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. She-Hulk is the
Yes.
final thing before Wakanda Forever. She-Hulk came out very recently. Tatiana Maslany was Jennifer Walters. We had Jamila Jamil was Titania. We had the return of Abomination. Tim Roth was back. Benedict Wong was in this. Bruce
Hmm.
Banner was in this. Something we
Hmm.
didn't mention with No Way Home. Charlie Cox was in this as Daredevil.
Hmm.
Thoughts on this show, Zane? I am glad I wasn't around for the series review. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun for what it is. Like, I don't mind it because, again, as I've said previously on this podcast, I've seen shows like this before, like Ally McBeal. I get it. It's a shame it's not other courtroom dramas that a lot of us were expecting. And without the Daredevil stuff, I don't think half the audience would have stuck around, which is a shame.
I 100% agree with you. For me, this show, I was okay with it. It wasn't
Mm.
it wasn't setting my world on fire, but it was fine. The Daredevil episode is magnificent,
Mm.
absolutely magnificent. But that has nothing to do with She-Hulk. That is pure Charlie Cox as Daredevil because he's absolutely fantastic. This show went into the toilet for me when the final episode. There is breaking the fourth wall, and
Hmm.
there is going outside of the meta or whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
but so stupid, absolutely such poor writing, absolutely terrible writing, to just be like, oh, it's the big final battle, but except it's not really the final battle because it's not this guy, it's actually a AI supercomputer called Kevin,
Mm.
who is an algorithm determining everything that happens in the MCU. And it's like, well, that makes you look stupid as hell. That makes you look really bad. Like, because it makes you look like you're just an algorithm system, just
Yeah.
pumping out stuff. Also, I appreciate the fact that She-Hulk breaks the fourth wall, but she doesn't break the fourth wall to be jokey. She
No.
just can do it in the books. Deadpool breaks the fourth wall to be jokey. Like
Hmm.
like that meta ending I could have seen in a Deadpool film. That would
Yeah.
have made way more sense. But in She-Hulk, and then to not even give us an ending, to just be like, oh yeah, it's all happened now, it's over. Bye. What the hell was that? And then the crowning turd in the water pipe for me was the introduction of Scar just randomly.
I can't.
Hulk's son.
Hulk's son. Yes, you're right. At the barbecue.
What
Oh
the
my
hell is
god.
that? As a purist comic book fan, Planet Hulk and World War Hulk is one of my favorite books ever. And
Mm.
Scar comes out of that, and they just threw him in at a barbecue. Oh, by the way, I've got a son now. What are you doing? What are you doing? If Wakanda Forever doesn't course correct seriously with the MCU, like, see, I didn't like it. I don't like it.
Mm.
Knock on ramifications, yeah, whatever. She-Hulk's in there now, and Charlie Cox is in there as Daredevil, and we've got a whole bunch of other stuff, and that's cool. I just that torpedoed the series for me.
Mm.
Anyway, that's Phase 4.
Just something I saw a fan theory of is could you imagine if Kang created Kevin, the AI robot?
Please no, please just leave it alone and get away from it as fast as possible.
Mm.
So, guys, that's all of them. That's all of the Phase 4. So, as you can imagine, there's quite a lot in there to watch. It's over 48 hours worth of content in that, as opposed to Phase 3's 18 hours. So,
Wow.
yes, they really upped it. It's because of the TV series, isn't it? That's why.
Oh yeah,
bulky. So that leads us neatly into Wakanda Forever. So what do we know about Wakanda Forever? Well, we know that T'Challa is gone. We know that there is going to be a new Black Panther. We know that Wakanda is in mourning for their lost king. We don't know how he's died yet. We don't know if they're going to tell you how he's died. I don't know whether it would be in good taste if they did, but who knows? We've got Shuri looking in at herself, I guess, about what her role in life is. We've got the return of M'Baku. But the biggest thing out of this is we finally have the introduction of Marvel's first mutant, Namor, and the Atlantean army. Namor is a very divisive figure. He is a anti-hero of sorts. He sometimes plays the good guy, sometimes plays the bad guy. Heavily invested with Fantastic Four a lot. Has had weird relations with Sue Storm in the past. And it looks like it's Wakanda versus Atlantis in a big Bosch war. But not to forget as well, we're also going to get the introduction of Riri Williams as, well, not Riri Williams as, but like, I can't remember what the actress's name is now. But basically, we're going to get the introduction of Riri Williams, aka Ironheart, is going to be in this. Zane, from what we've seen in the trailers and from what we've seen of what's coming up, where do you see this film going? Are we going to see the death of Namor straight away when he's introduced? Or how is this going to be resolved? Is there going to be something more going on here that we're not aware of?
I think Namor is going to be the show stealer in this movie. Although he gets portrayed as the villain to Wakanda and, to challenge everything about Wakanda and everything, I guess it's going to be like a turned up version of M'Baku. The way M'Baku challenged T'Challa in the first movie and such, and was an enemy tribe and such, but became a fan favorite as the movies went on, because he had these great qualities and morals about him. I think we're going to have a similar effect with Namor, and I don't know if I could see Namor on the Avengers team, but I think they're going to lead into the similar sort of aspects that he's always going to think of Atlantis first and then the world. He's going to think of, his people first, then everything else, if you know what I mean.
100%. 100%. I will say this. Marvel, the MCU specifically, has had a way of adapting characters for the big screen. So we may not see the same kind of Namor that we see in the books on screen. This may be a very different Namor. This may be a much more tepid, calmer Namor, one that is very much in touch with his people. It could be one that is more in an Aquaman-esque, wanting to balance, the Atlanteans with the surface world. I guess we'll find out. But yes, traditionally in the books, Namor is a war champion. Really, he leads Atlantis against the surface world multiple times, and he's got lovely little wings on his feet. Do you want my hot takes for this? What I think is going to happen in this one?
Yeah.
So there's two things that I think is good. So I think there's potentially two revelations that are going to come out of this. The first is going to be that someone behind the scenes is pulling these strings and is pitting Wakanda against Atlantis. I wanted it to be Doom. I think it's much more likely that it would be Kang. And I think that the reason why this is happening is that I think it is part of Kang's machinations to take Wakanda off the board as a technological superpower, because as we
Mhm.
have seen from everything in phase 2 and 3, Wakanda is incredibly advanced technologically. They can do a lot. I mean, if you
Resourcefulness as such.
Infinity War, they basically hold off an entire Thanos invasion fleet just with their shield. So it would make sense that Kang wants that to go. Here's my really hot take.
Okay.
Brace yourself for this one. If this comes true, I am riding this until the cows come home. How do you replace Black Panther? Right, exactly. You can't. Chadwick
Sure.
Boseman is irreplaceable. So what do you do in that scenario? You burn Wakanda to the ground.
Oh, wow.
And I think at the end of this film, I think
Mm.
Atlantis is going to win. And I think Wakanda is going to be wiped off the map. And I think it will eliminate any future Black Panther films, because you can't really do Black Panther films now that Chadwick Boseman's gone. And I think that Wakanda will no longer be a power in the world. And I think that they will fit that around Kang being, that's part of his plan to get rid of Wakanda. And I think that's the whole point. It will weaken things, and it wipes the slate clean, so that there are no more questions about who's going to be Black Panther, because Wakanda won't exist.
I see.
It's controversial, obviously,
Mhm.
because of the nature of the how the subject matter that it deals with.
Sure.
However, it logically, from a story perspective, it would
Mhm.
make a lot of sense.
I can see where you're going with it. As we've talked about before, Namor has flooded Wakanda before, and they have been opposing forces. Like even in Secret War, T'Challa is the king of the dead, and he uses that power in Namor. They have to work together to stop. Was it Doctor Doom at the time? I think it's
I
Doctor
think so.
Doom.
Yeah.
I remember they fighting Thanos in that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see where you're going with that. I think what's going to be interesting is it's no secret now that Shuri is going to be the Black Panther in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what's going to be interesting is to see her journey becoming a queen. Maybe she is a queen that fails, like Thor did in
Yeah.
Ragnarok.
And that's that's the thing. I mean, they have precedent for doing this. Like, Asgard is no
Yeah.
longer. I mean, there's new Asgard, obviously, but like
Mm.
Asgard was completely destroyed. They'd lost in Infinity War. There is a history of bad things happening now in the MCU. Like, it's not just clean cut where the heroes always win. Plus, Letitia Wright is behind the scenes. Allegedly, we don't have confirmation of this completely, but it seems like she's an anti-vaxxer, and doesn't believe in the COVID vaccine and all that other kind of jazz. And as a result of that, Marvel have a very strict stance on vaccinations and that side of things. They mandatory require all their staff to be vaccinated, and it has caused a lot of friction over their contracts and stuff with her. So you would imagine, unless she's changed her tune and has now gone along with it, you would imagine that they would not want to keep dealing with that battle over and over again. Therefore, she would run out of her usefulness quite quickly. I just think that you can't. Everyone keeps saying who's going to replace Chadwick Boseman. Who's going to? Nobody. Nobody's going to replace him. He was too incredible. He was too much of a magnetic figure, and frankly, he was just too good. And you can't replace him. And there is a dark pall over Black Panther now, because he died at the peak of his performance. This wasn't something that went on forever and ran out of steam, and then he passed away. This was man, I wish we had seen more of him.
Yeah.
I will always want to see more of him. No matter who replaces him, no matter who takes over, I will always think, God, imagine if Chadwick Boseman had done that. That would have been great.
Here's the thing as well, like there is a lot of good Black Panther stories as well with T'Challa. There's some decent ones of Shuri being Black Panther, that's no secret, but they're the best ones, similar with Spider-Man, all the great Spider-Man stories are of Peter Parker.
Yes.
All of the great Black Panther
Well,
stories are.
Miles,
He has one or two. He does. I mean, he's just gone through a clone saga.
I mean,
Which,
he's
guess
a
what?
younger Spider-Man, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, is another hash of Peter Parkers. But yeah, it's kind of, it's a shame that we won't see those stories translated now.
See, the thing is, right, is that I think you have to remember that this is not a comic book run. This is not. This is a Kevin Feige. If he is true to form as he was within Infinity War and Endgame, he has a plan. He knows where he is going with this. From what we have seen from the Quantumania trailer, and it's worthwhile us having a brief conversation about that. This is it. We are ramping up now, and we are going to get some seriously big bad stuff coming. Like, it's going to start getting Thanos-y again, which is fantastic. I can genuinely see how you can't replace Chadwick Boseman. I've been over it already. But if you wipe Wakanda off the board, right? Erase it. Say it's gone. And then you get into the Kang stuff. Kang is all about time. Kang is all about multiverse. I am 99% sure the end of Phase 6, at the end of Secret War, there will be no more multiverse. We will return to one timeline. Everything else will be sealed off, and it will just be one sacred timeline again. At that point, who's to say what the hell has happened with the timeline, where we sit, what happens? There's every single possibility at that point to recast. Absolutely every single point, because you can say, oh yeah, well, all the variants, all this timeline mashed together, and it's all like, and then it's like, well, okay, so now we've got one sacred timeline. Oh, Black Panther's life, but it's different because all the realities have merged together. That's a way around it. But what the hell is the point of Wakanda right now without Black Panther? And Shuri is great. But like, I don't see her as imposing enough force as Black Panther in the wider world. I guess we'll see from the movie. But yeah, that's my hot take. I think genuinely Wakanda's going to fall in this, and I think that's what the whole title is about: Wakanda Forever. Much in the same way that Asgard is a people, I don't think the city and the entity of Wakanda is going to exist anymore.
Just to lean into your theory a little bit more, what they could do is the Galactic Empire of Wakanda, because in a more recent run, I should say, Black Panther decides to go off-world, and they start to use their technology and stuff on other planets, and they start a mini empire of Wakanda, a galactic empire of Wakanda and stuff.
Yeah. Is it led by T'Challa?
Yes, it is.
Then I don't think they're going to do it. This is the problem. This is the issue. You know, you can't have it without T'Challa. Like, that's the problem. So anyway, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I'm excited to see Wakanda Forever. I really am. I'm not as excited as I am with Quantumania, which is going to be the first Phase 5 movie, which we've now seen the trailer for. My God Almighty, Zane! I cannot wait. Like, Quantumania trailer, that is my jam right there. And I got genuinely excited when I saw Kang suited and booted for the first time as Kang the Conqueror. Thoughts on, by the way, just very quickly, we'll talk on it very briefly, and then we'll wrap up. There's Kang on the floating disc Kang when he comes down in his full, blue face mask thing.
Yes.
But then there's another Kang that's talking to Ant-Man. Multiple Kangs?
No.
You don't think so? I think there's going to be multiple Kangs in this.
I think the blue is a visor for his helmet.
Okay. What's interesting, there's been a leaked, or there was not a leaked trailer. I haven't seen it yet, but there's a trailer that came from Comic-Con. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
Where there's different dialogue between him and Ant-Man. And one of the things that he says to him when Ant-Man says, "I'm an Avenger," he says, "Avenger, have I killed you yet?"
Yeah.
Meaning that obviously he's killed multiple Avengers, and where he doesn't know where he is in time. And then it raises the question: has he been hiding in the quantum realm this whole time? even outside of it. Like, is it just a quirky coincidence that we've got a multiverse now, and has Kang just been there all this time? But my God, I can't wait for Ant-Man. I'm excited for Wakanda Forever, but God, Ant-Man is like, I'm just rubbing my hands with delight.
It's going to be a big one.
Well, there you go, guys. Well, this has been our rundown of Phase 4. Were there any things in there that you forgot? Any things that you completely overlooked for Phase 4? Anything that you think you need to now catch up on? And are you excited for Wakanda Forever? Let us know. Zane, how can they get in touch with us?
You can let us know via email, nerdsundisputed@gmail.com. We have got some more mail. First one.
We've got letters, have we?
Well, mail, letters.
The viewing public have sent
comments.
us letters, ladies and gentlemen.
So the first one is, hey guys, hello. Enjoy the podcast. In the Black Adam movie, who do you think was in the Task Force X prison? Many thanks from Ian in Scotland.
Oh my God.
We spoke about this when we left the cinema, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Let's see. I think clearly it was Grey Blob number 1. It was Grey Blob number 2. I don't know who would have been in there. I mean, it was clearly it's housing Black Adam, so it is a maximum security facility. So let's have a think.
Who would you like to see in there? I think that's the better question, because they were all just shadow figures, weren't they, really?
Yeah. Okay. So Metallo.
Okay. Yeah. Nice.
He'd be awesome. Cyborg Superman.
Ooh.
That I would like to see him in there. Reverse Flash.
That's a good one.
I'm assuming this is a meta prison for because Black Adam's in there. It's got to be like seriously heavy,
high stakes.
We're talking like proper baddies. And then going down from there, maybe Clayface. Someone.
I thought Clayface. Yeah,
like someone meta like that. Solomon Grundy. Things that can't be killed.
Parasite.
Parasite's another good one. Parasite's another very good one. Yeah. What about some Green Lantern baddies? Yeah, that's it. Cool. So anyway, I'll throw a wild card. Atrocitus. I would like to have seen Atrocitus in there. There's no chance in hell he would be in there and not on a prison in Oa, but that's not the point. Let's just throw the boat out and go for that. It's going to be Superman villains, really, isn't it? Because they're the main.
I think so.
Heavy duty hitters. So yeah, Metallo, Parasite, Cyborg Superman. I don't think
maybe.
Blockbuster.
Yeah. He's.
Yeah. Nightwing hasn't killed him.
As if.
I'm gonna have a quick. That's got my noodle brain. Anyway, carry on. Did you say there was multiple letters?
There is a second one.
Yeah, go on,
second one says, "Hey guys, love the pod. Would you ever do a sideshow that recommends comics, or the best comics of the year? Christmas is coming up, and I'm unsure what to get my partner. I love when you guys talk about comics you recently purchased / read. This probably won't be read out on the pod, but Zane's voice is amazing. Many thanks, Laura."
Zane's voice is amazing. Wow. Oh, I wonder why you read that one out, Zane. Jesus. Well, thanks, Laura. Thanks for the compliment for Zane. Appreciate that. Jeez, I've never felt so hurt. Yeah, I guess we could. We could do a readout. Like I said, I bought Devil's Reign when I was in London, so I still need to read that. Just going back very briefly to the question of who's in the prison. So I've had 2 more that I want to add into the list. Bizarro.
Ooh,
hadn't thought about Bizarro. And then Nuclear Man from Superman 4. So with his long fingernails. Yeah, I guess. I mean, we've been talking about doing a spin-off show of something else and changing tack a little bit away from the comic book side of things. But maybe I don't know. We might do a little bit of could possibly do a little segment on what we've been reading. But yeah, I don't know. It's a good suggestion. It's a very good suggestion. Thank you for writing in, Laura. Appreciate it. But I hate the fact that you complimented Zane's voice and not mine.
I mean, I do another podcast called Undisputed Anime.
Are you sure that was sent to the right place? Did it mean to go to Undisputed Anime? Is that what I meant? Has she heard my voice? Is it too screechy? Is that what? Making me self-conscious.
Anyways, yeah. Thanks for the letters and mail. Make sure to
keep them coming, guys. Yeah, we want to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely. You can follow us on all of our social media at undisputed_nerds on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Oh, Mongol would be a good one for that prison.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm just thinking of Superman villains now. Yeah, Mongol would be great. That's a good one.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Zane_Tideshow.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitch, twitch.tv/gentlemanlygamer. I just finished Resident Evil 8, all of it in hardcore, including the new DLC. It drove me to the very brink of insanity, so go and check that out, because I was raging like crazy on that stream. You can also get me on the gram at gentlemanlygamer. So yeah, next week, guys, it's Wakanda Forever. So yeah, we'll be doing a review straight after we've seen it, and it will be glorious. For those of you who have stuck around through this long one, thank you for sticking around, and we will see you next week.
See you next week. All the relevant links will be in the description down below. Make sure to check out Surfshark VPN, and yeah, we'll catch you next week. Take care.
Take it easy, guys. Thank you very much. Bye.
Ciao.